Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends, another patch brings more goodies. In this video we'll cover Forcas, a Dark Angels character who might just be a metagame character and one who I quite like. It's not every day one of these characters rolls around, so let's talk about the Inner Circle companion and why he might be the real deal. Forcas is a rare unlock through the 2-week hero release event, so if you're looking to get ahead, consider this your warning to start saving energy. The portrait art looks a little bit like Santa Claus with his red hood and white beard, but the model animation is, as usual, pretty cool. He has two traits, camouflage and parry. Effectively, Forcas always reduces incoming hits by 1 hit, whether that is in melee or range. The stats on screen are at Diamond 3, and we'll look at how that compares to other characters later on. Forcas has a base movement speed of 3 and a 6-hit melee power attack. As a Dark Angel, Forcas can equip the Heavenfall Blade, the Dark Angel's faction-specific weapon with a 40% crit chance, currently the highest in the game. His active ability, Calibanite Greatsword, switches him between 2 stances. In Strike stance, this gives him a melee overwatch at the end of his turn, even if the character has already attacked. After defeating a unit, Forcas remains in the overwatch stance, just doing less hits. Sweep stance does power damage to each enemy adjacent to both Forcas and the primary target. His passive, Enmity for the Unworthy, gives him bonus damage for each adjacent unit, friend or foe, and an extra fixed bonus for adjacent Dark Angels. The abilities are simple enough, but let's look at gameplay clips before diving into the numbers. In the first clip, Forcas stays in Strike stance. He moves down, kills Harken, and remains in Overwatch. On the enemy turn, both Archmatos and Volk fall to his melee overwatch. In the next clip, we switch to Sweep stance. The crouch animation signals the stance is changing. Targeting Volk causes AoE damage to Harken and Archmatos. Then we switch back to Strike, and Forcas stands up, giving us a nice visual cue. The passive is easy to see in action. Forcas moves next to Snotflogger and shows a damage preview just under 3000. After Asmodai joins him, that jumps up to about 4700, and we'll dig into the numbers later. So Forcas is great and I love him for a lot of reasons, but let's break down the passive first. First, let's look at how the bonuses stack. In picture 1, Forcas does about 8.3k damage to this Poxwalker. Poxwalkers have 0 armor, Forcas has a base damage of 1152 at max settings. So, with 6 hits and a 20% bonus, the math checks out to what we're seeing on screen. Once we add another unit, we see the multiplier increase by a further 20%, once more matching the damage preview on screen. Now with the Dark Angel's ally, we can see that the flat damage bonus applies before the multiplier, which is an important nuance. What about when we factor in armor? We use the Damvar model to understand how armor reduces damage. In this next slide, we have set the Poxwalker's armor to 500 and set Forcas's damage to 1000 using some test build cheats. You can see the damage multiplier from the passive applies after armor or after Damvar is taken into account. Now that we understand how the passive works, we have big thanks to Towen, Tacticus Ambassador and friend, for these beautiful graphs. We've seen them before, but I'll just remind you. Blue is every character's base health. Green represents Forcas's active damage at a baseline. Yellow shows you how much the active does if there's 1 adjacent Dark Angel. Red is for 2 adjacent Dark Angels, and purple is for 3 adjacent Dark Angels. As you can see, Forcas can kill most units in the game with 3 Dark Angels next to him, and that's before we factor in things like high ground and crit. We've done all this calculating for Overwatch, but remember that these bonuses apply to his area of effect sweep attack too. With 3 Dark Angels around him, Sweep does another 1200 damage and the bonus percentage modifiers too. Parry isn't a skill we've seen much before, so I'll just quickly touch on it. Parry applies before bonus hits are applied, so if you have a single hit character that is given bonus hits through something like Master Annihilator, then Parry doesn't really do anything. As you can see here, Incisus still does 2 hits against Forcas. The same logic applies to camouflage as well. Let's talk about other modes. guild raids in particular. With 6 hits on both attack and Overwatch, Forcas can potentially deal 12 hits in one turn, provided you can bait or predict boss movement. Most Dark Angel's characters aren't standout raid picks, but Asmodai has always been close, and I think Forcas might be the one that finally makes him viable. Let's look at an example. Asmodai's active will give your team bonus damage for 2 turns, and if the enemy is Chaos, a Dark Angel will immediately do a free normal attack. I'm pretty sure that attack when Asmodai came out used to be randomly allocated, but now it seems to pick the Dark Angel with the most damage, here usually Forcas. So Magnus is a Chaos boss that we're familiar with. What happens when we combine Helbrecht, Ragnar and On-Shi? After the usual double howl setup and positioning, Asmodai uses his active and Forcas delivers a massive buffed free hit. Then Forcas attacks and Ragnar follows up. We're already at 471k damage by turn 2. Then Magnus flies over to the other side of the map and eats another high ground, Helbrecht and Asmodai buffed Overwatch from Forcas. We're now up to 519k and we haven't even started turn 3. This replay is a bit rushed, more for demonstration purposes, so please forgive any positioning mistakes, and as you'll see, I lose Forcas to Magnus's retaliation mechanic. I'll fast forward through the rest, but feel free to rewatch in slow motion. Against the Legendary 3 Magnus, we're breaking 900k damage. This is with max settings, but the point is to show you what this character can do to help you decide if it's worth building him. Right now, Forcas looks strongest against Chaos bosses, especially with Asmodai, and I suspect we'll end up seeing more Chaos enemies in the future. The usual AI question is not as important for this character. Switching stances with his active doesn't really impact the character's value on defense, so he'll probably be fine in places like War and Arena. We've covered the kit and gameplay, so here's a summary slide showing his stats and abilities at various breakpoints. Feel free to pause or screenshot as needed. Here is the usual infographic style summary. Stats on the right are at Diamond 3. Thanks once more to Towen for comparing Forcas to other characters in the game. Here we can see that he's above average defensively with decent offense, but as we've seen, his real value is in the passive and synergy with other Dark Angels. So where is Forcas good? We can start with Horde modes. Overwatch shines in a mode where killing multiple enemies is a key attribute. Sweep mode adds flexibility, and I'll give him a 4 out of 5 here. His value in War depends a little bit on the team, but with proper Dark Angel synergy and positioning, he can wipe out melee squads. So, another solid 4. For guild raids, 6 hits is nice, but unless the enemy is Chaos, I don't think he's going to make a top multi-hit squad. Still, with more Chaos bosses likely coming to the game in the future, I'm giving him a tentative 3 for the time being. This character is clearly built to excel alongside other Dark Angels. Azrael gives him bonus Overwatch damage with his passive, and the rest are bodies to add damage through Forcas' own passive. Because the character has so many hits, he also benefits from buffers. We have kind of glossed over the fact that he can wield a 40% crit Dark Angel sword, so with a crit booster, he's almost critting 50% of the time. Aethana can increase that further, or you can opt for characters like Calgar and Helbrecht. A beautiful interaction, and probably how I plan to use him on War offense, is alongside characters like Eldryon. If you put Eldryon behind Forcas, then Doom will always apply to the enemy that Forcas overwatches, and you can have a lot of fun that way. That's it, another character showcase wrapped up. A huge thanks to my Patreons for their support, and bye for now.